Welcome to our podcast, where we delve into the darkest corners of criminal history. Today, we're exploring the chilling story of Gary Ridgway, known as the Green River Killer. His name strikes fear into the hearts of those familiar with his crimes. Let's dive in. In July 1992, a chilling tale unfolded on the tranquil waters of the Green River in Seattle. It was a day like any other for the unsuspecting boater, until fate intervened with a grim revelation. As he navigated the river, his eyes fell upon an unspeakable sight: the lifeless body of two young girls, their bodies nearly floated in the water. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, marking the beginning of a harrowing saga that would grip the city for months to come. The arrival of the police at the scene signaled the start of the intense investigation, led by detectives determined to unravel the mystery behind the gruesome find. Their efforts were relentless, every detail scrutinized, every clue examined under the microscope of justice. Amidst the growing tension and speculation, another body was discovered, adding another layer of horror to the already macabre scenario. It was during the meticulous examination of these cases that the investigators noticed a common thread running through each murder: a signature. This shared characteristic among the victims confirmed the worst fear of the detectives. They were indeed dealing with a serial killer, a predator who preyed on vulnerable women. The hunt for the perpetrator was on, a shadowy figure lurking in the shadows, eluding capture despite the relentless pursuit by the law enforcement. The Green River Killer, as he would later be dubbed, remained at large. Gary Ridgway, born in Salt Lake City, Utah in 1949, moved to Washington State as a child. Little did anyone know, the quiet neighborhood of Renton would soon become synonymous with fear. Ridgway's killing spree began in the mid-1980s, targeting young women, primarily sex workers, along the Green River. His method involved luring his victims with offers of work or rides, then strangling them. When Gary was 21 years old, married with his girlfriend Judith Mawson. Amidst this, he was actively serving in the Navy. Upon his homecoming from one of such missions, Gary's wife announced her cheating to him. This revelation eventually prompts Gary to part ways with his wife. After a period of time, Gary got married for the second time. Gary's second wife left Gary with their son when their son was 5 years old, and this caused a great emotional blow to Gary. It was after this incident that Gary began to have many relationships with sex workers. During this critical phase, one significant factor that allowed Gary to evade capture by the law enforcement was the connection that made between the victim's DNA and Gary. However, Gary cleverly argued that the presence of his DNA at the scenes could be attributed to consensual relationship with these women, which he hoped would serve as a defense against charges and secure his freedom. Even amid police interrogations, a particularly intriguing aspect emerged, showcasing his ability to convincingly deceive the polygraph test prior to his arrest. Over time, Ridgway's body count mounted, with estimates ranging between 49 to over 80 victims. The exact number remains uncertain due to the clandestine nature of his crimes. Each victim's story is a treatment to the tragedy of their untimely demise. They were daughters, sisters, mothers, taken too soon, leaving behind broken family and communities. In this part, we will examine one of Ridgway's victims, Wendy Lee Caulfield. Wendy was born on April 17, 1966 in Renton. On the night of July 8, 1982, when she didn't return home, her family reported her missing. Wendy wasn't missing for long. Her nude body was found in the Green River in Seattle in July 15, 1982, strangled by her own pants. She was the first victim of the Green River Killer. The investigation into Wendy's disappearance was exhaustive. involving countless manpower and resources. It was only years later, with Ridgway's confession, that the pieces began to fall into place. With Ridgway's admission, there was a mix of emotional relief that the truth had finally come out, and the deepening sadness as reality of Wendy's fate became clearer. Despite numerous leads and public outcry, Ridgway evaded capture for years. It wasn't until 2001, after DNA technology advanced, that authorities finally linked Ridgway to the Green River killing through genetic evidence found at the crime scenes. This breakthrough leads to Ridgway's arrest, marking a turning point in the investigations. Upon his arrest, Ridgway confessed to the murders, providing detailed accounts of his crimes. His confession was a mix of relief and horror for the families of his victims, offering them some closure but also reopening old wounds. Also, after his arrest, Ridgway explained how he killed his victims to the law enforcement.
How much are you pulling on her neck?
I'm pulling really hard on her neck.
How?
Just like this.
What are you saying to her?
Don't fight, and I'll let you go. I'm feeling, I gotta kill her.
During a segment of the trial proceeding, where a family member of the victims were testifying, a particularly emotional moment occurred that elicited an emotional response from Ridgway. This happened when a father who had lost his daughter engaged in a conversation with Ridgway. It appears that this interaction may have brought Ridgway face to face with the profundity of his crimes.
There are people here that hate you. I'm not one of them. God says to do, and that's to forgive all. So you are forgiven, sir.
As we conclude today's podcast, let us remember the victims of Gary Ridgway's reign of terror. Their stories are a call to action, urging us to protect the vulnerable among us and strive for a safer society. And in the end, if you like this podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe us. We hope this podcast has shed light on the dark tale of the Green River Killer. Until next time, stay safe and keep listening.